For more updates, log on to thearabianstories.com, where news comes first.
It's not about the quantity, but it's about the quality of the news. That's why I always read the Arabian Stories.
We measure ourselves by what we feel capable of doing, while others measure us based on what we have done, said Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Avenue 2021, a global virtual career guidance program launched by Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir under the aegis of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. On behalf of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir, I, Anushree of Class 10 from ISWK, take the proud privilege of expressing our profound gratitude to His Majesty Haytham bin Tariq Al Said for his noble benevolence. May the Almighty shower His choicest blessings on His Majesty, and may this nation experience peace and everlasting prosperity.
We see programs like Avenue 2021 playing a critical role in the fulfillment of this vision by guiding and shaping the future of the youth.
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman, Dr. Shivakumar Manika. We wholeheartedly welcome dignitaries from the Ministry of Education and officials from the Indian Embassy. A cordial and courteous welcome to all the members of the Board of Directors of Indian Schools in Oman. A hearty welcome to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the President of ISWK Management Committee, and other members of the School Management Committee of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir. A warm welcome to principals, vice principals, assistant vice principals, HODs, coordinators, supervisors, and the entire teaching fraternity across all the globe. I am extremely delighted to welcome students from all over the world, parents, invitees, and all our well-wishers. Thank you one and all for your gracious presence here this afternoon.
It is with great joy and honor that I welcome and introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Pankaj K. Khimji, Director of Khimji Ramdas, who, despite the commendable achievements and accolades, still remains down to earth, simple, and so approachable, which makes him a true inspiration to the youth. Mr. Pankaj Khimji, the fifth generation business leader of Khimji Ramdas, graduated from Hammersmith and West London College in Building Construction Engineering. He is the co-chairman of the Oman-India Joint Business Council and a board member of the Omani-British Friendship Association. He has been an active member of the World Economic Forum and a recipient of the Global Leader of Tomorrow Award. Pankaj Khimji has also been a regular member of the Ministry of Manpower's delegation to the annual International Labour Organization Conference in Geneva. He takes keen interest in initiatives to equip young Omanis with the requisite skills to start their own businesses. One such initiative that he was very closely involved in was the Sanat Services, which paved the way for fostering an entrepreneurial culture in the country. He has been involved in the Oman Business Forum, which works on key areas of nation building, such as youth educating, training leaders, and other work aimed at transforming and empowering society. He is a board member of Sharaka, a pioneering SME funding and mentoring organization in the Sultanate. A passionate cricket fan, Mr. Pankaj Khimji also devotes time as the chairman of the Oman Cricket Board and is an executive board member of the Asian Cricket Council. Let us cordially welcome Mr. Pankaj Khimji, who will speak to us on entrepreneurship opportunities and challenges. The platform is all yours, sir.
Sanjana, Anushri, thank you very much. Board of Directors, Principal, members of the staff of the Indian School, Al-Wadi Kabir, and of course, various students, parents, and friends. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on this most important and relevant podium where we talk about various aspects of a child's future. You are our future, and it's very important if we can help in any little way in making sure that you take the right decisions in the vocation that you choose. I've been asked to talk about entrepreneurship and opportunities, challenges, whichever come first, challenges or opportunities. But before we embark on this talk on opportunities and challenges, I'll give you my perspective on what is entrepreneurship, what needs to be meted out in order to be one. And it's all about new ideas, dreams, and how do you shape those into reality. So entrepreneurship is basically about being differently able, about innovating or having a mind which is innovative, having ideas which need to be fructified, and ideas that will change the world that we live in. Entrepreneurs are real innovators. And if you are passionate about being one, then keep dreaming, keep realizing your dreams. There's nothing wrong in being a dreamer. What are the attributes that an entrepreneur has? And we talk about, being leaders, and it's not exactly that. Entrepreneurs are nothing but differently able. They think differently. They want to do different things. They want to approach life in a different manner. So basically, it's all about differentiation. You need to have that fire. You need to have that vision to do something that you believe in with total conviction and make sure that you deliver it at the right time and in the right form. What is required? I think knowledge and intellect is very important in the particular vocation that you're trying to innovate or you're trying to create. So that knowledge and intellect is of utmost importance. You can't have half the knowledge or half the intellect to do something. And I think for having that knowledge and intellect, you need a basis, you need a foundation, and that is a school education system. And I'm a very big believer in the Indian school system, the CBSE program. I think you make some great leaders. Students come out of the Indian school system with great amount of knowledge and the requisite skills to take on the world. So I think you've got the right platform, and that is a platform that is required. Mathematics, science, the theory of knowledge. Basically, it's all about how do you apply this knowledge into the workspace. Entrepreneurs also have the ability to identify niche opportunities. And it's the niche opportunities that will make the difference. They're dreamers who dream about something new, something which is totally out of the box or out of the normal, and they make that realize. So you need to have a dreaming mind, an innovating mind, and then you need to have the ability to realize that. And for that, you need the fire, you need the conviction that you will make it happen. That self-belief is extremely important. That confidence, that little amount of overconfidence is also not so bad. I actually sometimes feel that overconfident people stand to deliver and achieve more than people who are passive or are holding back their expressions. So I think it's very important that you have that ability. Number two, skills. If you don't have the right knowledge, not all innovations require knowledge, they require skills. And for that, you need to make sure that you have the right skills or you learn the right skills. Leaders do not have just knowledge or theory. They sometimes have the right skills at the right time to make things happen. You also are not going to be able to do it alone. Innovators don't live by themselves. They do not fly or run or kind of sail in a single man boat. They have a team. And for that, you need to have the skills and the ability to build that team and the ability to hold that team together, to drive that team together. And that is all about human resources. It's how you deal with people, how you attract people to work with you, to look in the same way, to realize that dream in the similar fashion that you wanted to happen. So make sure that you have a team and you're able to lead that team. So for that, you need people managing skills. And for that, you need compassion, you need care, you need to win the trust. You can't buy those things. It's something that you have to have within, and you've got to learn what are the attributes required to be caring. I mean, caring is something that comes from within, and you need to be that, and you need to make sure that you are warm-blooded and not cold-blooded. Human capital will be something that will help you make or break and make you realize those dreams. Operational capability, you need to be hands-on. You need to lead from the front. You need to be someone who is able to be doing many things at the same time. You need to be multifunctional, multitasked in order to take on that job. Because when you're doing something different, when you're innovating, when you're being an entrepreneur, you're obviously doing things which are not from the normal thing. So you need to know what is required to achieve your goals. So being operationally capable is an absolute requisite. Time, energy, and execution. You will have to spend a lot of time, hard work. It's not about your normal 9 to 5. It's about 9 to 9 sometimes. You'll need to do various, spend various, red-eye nights to make it happen. And the early days are the most difficult. And that's when you need to really put in every bit of energy you have in making sure that you realize. So energy, time, and execution. And how you execute this is something which is going to be of paramount importance. You may have an idea, you may have a brilliant a notion of what you think is going to work, but if you don't execute it right, if you don't kind of make people believe, or you make sure that you do not deliver the right aspects of it, it's not going to work. So execution and energy and time is of paramount importance when you're executing your dreams. Opportunity and timing. You do the right thing at the wrong time, and you do not have the ecosystem to accept it. You're too early or you're too late is of no relevance. So you make sure that your timing is either you are before everybody else, but not too early, so that people don't accept or do not believe in your innovation or your idea. You need to be there at the right time, and that timing is sometimes that comes your way. It's not always that you'll get the timing right, because you may not be there at the right time, or you may have missed the bus. So you got to make sure that your timing is correct. Your idea is within the context of what is going on in the world today. So that's something which is very important. Opportunity is something you need to grab. It's not going to come to you with an open hand. You need to make sure that you're there to grab it. Sometimes you need to be a little aggressive. Sometimes you need to be a little selfish in grabbing that opportunity, but you need to be there to do it and make sure you do it right. So that is something which is very important. You also need to be a game changer. When you're innovating, when you're being an entrepreneur, convention is not the norm, is normal. You do not have to live by the norm. You have to reinvent, and you got to live beyond convention and try and find ways in executing things, or trying in projecting your ideas or your vision in a way which is beyond the normal. You need to express yourself in a way that you will make people believe in your idea, and that is where you will be successful. You cannot be averse to risk. Entrepreneurship is all about risk taking, because you are going to be the first, if not the first, you're going to be in that front line, leading a new idea into fruition. So risk is something that you'll have to be countering at all times. People will tell you, no, don't do that. But if you believe in the idea that you have, if you've got the right backers, if you've got the right human resources, you've got the right team, go ahead. Believe in yourself, make sure you've got the right tools to carry it out, and make sure your timing is right. So risk is something that you'll have to live with. If you're not ready to take that, you cannot be an entrepreneur. And finally, the ecosystem, the right environment. Does the ecosystem, does the country, the community, the region allow you to express yourself into doing something new? Again, if you're in that environment where people will not allow you to, or the local dynamics do not give you the opportunity, then it's no point doing it, because then you bang your head against the wall, and it's not going to make you work, and it's going to actually derail you from your ideas and your vision. So please make sure that you've got those things. And then, of course, it's leadership. Entrepreneurs need leadership skills to really express themselves. And one of those major leadership skills is communication. And by that, I mean you need to have the ability to deliver your vision in the right kind of format, in an expressive mode where people understand it clearly without the so-called ambiguities. You need to make sure that you are able to give decisions and answer questions in a timely and a prompt manner without having to say, I'll think about it, I'll get back. There is no time for that. You need to be sure about exactly where you want to go. You need to be sure about exactly what you want. You need to make sure that your idea is delivered clearly in a very concise manner without the kind of ambiguities that we talk about in life. What have I achieved in terms of my entrepreneurial journey has been, in a way, successes, but as entrepreneurs, we also have to encounter failures. And my journey, like anyone else, has been with a lot of bumps, a lot of speed breakers, a lot of failures. But there are certain things that I've succeeded in. I'll share with you certain anecdotes, and they are, let's say, look at the Cherry Hotel. The Cherry Hotel is the first so-called boutique, hotel which surpassed the boundaries of the normal conventional hotel that we had, and it was built at the time, or conceived at a time, when hotels were standard, a 5-star, the Bustan Palaces, the Hyatt Regencies of the world, the Intercontinentals of the world. And the Cherry came about with an idea saying that Oman needs to have a brand which expresses Oman's culture, its heritage, in a way to the tourist who is here to look at something different. The tourists are not there to stay in a normal 5x6 room and with a view of the sea. That's available anywhere and everywhere. We had to give them an environment in which they will relax. They come down and say USA, and their blood pressure goes down, and they're able to kind of reflect within of what life is all about. It's about calmness. It's about solitude. It's about this beautiful environment that you create. So you need to create an ecosystem in what you're trying to offer. I believed in it. There were everybody around in this ecosystem said, no, it's too new. People won't appreciate. But then your audience or your customer was not somebody here. Your audience was somebody which was around the world. So you need to understand, are you reflecting this to the audience you want or to the ecosystem that you're living in? It's okay. At the end of the day, it's the customer base that you've identified. And if that customer base is what you want, then it doesn't matter what the environment around you says. So make sure it happens. And the Cherry was probably one of the most successful hotels, not just in Oman when it started and even now, but it's around the Gulf and around the world. It became a brand standard for creating an ecosystem which was to do with tranquility, to do with the understated elegance that we talk about from an architectural point of view, from a living point of view. So that was my so-called venture into entrepreneurship at the early age, and when I delivered that, it was most gratifying feeling and very satisfying to see it succeed as well. The other thing was, let's look at a simple business model. Pizza Hut. When I brought about Pizza Hut in the late 80s and introduced Pizza Hut to Oman, there were no branded franchise restaurant groups available over here. Pizza was new to a food delivery system in Oman, and it's something which you think. But pizza appealed to the local population. Why? Because it was bread-based. It had tomato puree, which was something which was accepted by the people. And people in Oman, they love sharing. They live in a community, they live in a family, and they live and eat together. So pizza is something you eat and live together with, not unlike other fast foods or chains which have a burgers to the individual, or a Subway is to an individual, a sandwich. So pizza became a rage. And when we expanded it, we said, right, we'll open the first two in Muscat, but it was a challenge to open it into the interior. So when in the third year, I opened branches in Sur, Sohar, Nizwa, Salala, they said, oh, you're taking it away to people who do not appreciate that. But that's the whole idea. You take it to people who don't know about the product and you introduce it to them and you let them share it, because their environment was all about sharing. So we took the right idea to a place where it hadn't been exposed first. Pizza Hut became a household name. And today I'm very happy to say that Pizza Hut outsells every other franchise brand in the country. And it has more branches than any other franchise has in the country. One, you take it to the people. Don't wait for the people to come here. You take it, you give them something that changes the way they eat and they live. It's all about sharing. So you take a particular attribute which is there, and you try and expand it into something in a new way and give it in a new dimension. So that's just something which is there. Finally, I think when you're working, a lot of people work in solitude. Over here, I say entrepreneurs need to earn a certain amount of trust, a trust not just from its customers, from its employees, but also from its suppliers, its stakeholders. And the trust is the most important attribute that an entrepreneur needs to build and nourish within. It's not something you can buy ever. Don't think that your trust will be given to you on a platter. No, it is a trust needs to be earned, and that'll only happen if you deliver your promises. Care. Make sure you're caring, you're compassionate, you're warm-hearted, and that is not only to your employees but to your stakeholders again. When I say these 4 attributes that I say in a people, it's care, it's trust, commitment. Live your promises, deliver your promises. And if you don't, be honest about the fact that sorry, and be sorry. Don't forget to use that word sorry. It has to be one of your top vocabulary names that you use. Don't forget about, and means that you're sorry whenever you say that. So commitment is very important. And finally, don't stop learning. Don't stop upskilling yourself, because the world is moving so fast, whether it's technology, whether it's the nano things, etc. It's something which you will have to live with right until the right end, till you say, that's it, I've done it, been there. No, it doesn't end there. Keep learning, keep reading, keep educating yourself. As long as you have that passion to learn, you won't stop being an entrepreneur, or you won't stop dreaming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was an extraordinary and inspiring session by Mr. Pankaj Khimji. Now, we would like to request our most honored speaker, Mr. Pankaj Khimji, to kindly answer a few questions raised by the audience. May I request the teacher moderator, Mr. Soni, to put forth the questions posed by the audience.
A very good afternoon, our distinguished guest speaker, Mr. Pankaj Khimji. Ladies and gentlemen, it was definitely a most enriching session, and we'll be obliged if you could answer a few questions raised by the audience.
Sorry, sir, there was a problem with your mic, I think.
Yeah, wait, I'm okay.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, yeah. So the first question is, starting a business is one of the most challenging tasks to perform. How can we manage to initially have the required assets to start that business? For example, the money to build a machine.
This is a perennial problem for all entrepreneurs. And like I said, if you are not able to build, don't go it alone. You need to have somebody to handhold you, and making sure it could be a consultant, it could be a large entrepreneur who's helping a small entrepreneur. You cannot do it alone. So you need to make sure, one, you need to have somebody who's going to believe in your ideas and demonstrate from an independent source, whether it's a consultant or a banker or an accountant. They will have to kind of further endorse your ideas, and that your business sense, your business idea is actually making entrepreneurial sense, and in order to justify your requirement for resources. One. Number two, you'll need somebody, a business house or a business individual, or somebody with financial resources to help handhold you to put that first seed money. That seed money is extremely important. And for entrepreneurs who are there without the so-called financial resources, will need the help. That goes without saying. You cannot start that by yourself. So make sure that you have the right kind of godfather or a institution who is ready to kind of back you with the seed money required. Only then will you get the final resources to go forward.
Thank you, sir. That was the most apt answer. Another question by the same audience. So as of 2019, startup failure rates are around 90%. 21.5 of startups failed in the first year, 30% in the second year, and 50 in the fifth year, and 70% in the 10th year. So how can we manage to keep a consistency of growing in profits instead of going downhill in losses?
It's very difficult. 2019 to now has been an unprecedented time. So I don't think anyone has an answer to how do you live the pandemic. There is no way that you can live a pandemic in a normal. It's not the norm. It's in absolutely unprecedented times, and nobody really has the answers to that. But in terms of you're trying to be an entrepreneur. You're there taking the risks. And if you're trying to say that, no, I will not fail, and I don't want to fail, but I want to be an entrepreneur, you're trying to define a paradox of sorts. So it's not going to be easy. Entrepreneurship comes with the risk of failure, and more failure than success. And that is the norm, unfortunately. So like I said, you need to make sure that you've got your ideas, your plan to be endorsed by the right kind of people, whether it's a consultant friend or a business friend or an institution which helps entrepreneurs, or whether it's a seed capital firm. You'll need them to kind of endorse that idea. If you're getting no's from every front, then you've got to really rethink. You've got to look within and introspect and find out exactly what is the issue. But failure is something that you'll have to foresee, or you can't plan for failure, but you can be prepared for the fact that what if you fail. So you have to have a plan B, and you've got to have a realistic mindset of what if I do not. I'm not saying that be pessimistic about it, but you need to be realistic about the fact that make sure that your idea is not completely risk prone. So make sure that you've got your bases covered in terms of what ifs happen, and make sure that your scenario building happens in the right place with the right people, so that you have enough conviction and the confidence to go forward with it.
Thank you, sir. Now, our Honorary President, Mr. Rakesh Joshi, has a question. May I ask her to pose the question?
So Pankaj, thank you very much for sharing your personal experience on entrepreneurship. You spoke about trust, you spoke about risk, you spoke about success and failure. I'm sure our students, young minds, will take a lot from your session, particularly those who aspire to be entrepreneurs themselves. I realized through your introduction slides that you are the 5th generation of the Khimji Ramdas family running the brand KR. KR, as we all know, is one of the oldest and one of the most sought after large brand within the country, which really represents what Oman is from a true, successful business entrepreneurship is concerned. To remain relevant for 5 generations really takes some level of consistency and innovation. Like we've heard stories of Kodak, we've heard stories of Motorola, which came, Nokia, and they all disappeared, and today they don't exist as companies anymore. So what are your thoughts on how to remain relevant once you have set up something, as well as what are your thoughts on renovation and innovation? Because I think the speed at which the world is changing, if we get stuck in one particular era or one particular time, we very often become irrelevant. So what are your thoughts on that for the young minds who are listening to us today?
See, I think you've asked a very pertinent question, Alkesh. We are moving at a breakneck speed in terms of technology innovation, in terms of AI, in terms of analytical uh, uh, speeds of analytical interpretation. And as a trading house, as a retail business, we have seen this whole perspective change, and especially in the last 2 years during COVID, when people weren't able to move out. So what needs to happen? One, you need to stay agile. Two, you can't be technology averse. We were the first people to make sure that we moved ahead of our peers in terms of making sure that we invested in the right kind of technology, in tools, in the IT, in the software, whether it's ERP, whether it's CRM, whether it's customer relationship management. And we need to be connected all the times. So, today, the retail space of bricks and mortar Dukan is not so relevant as your delivery system, and making sure that the product or the service is available to the customer, not at my doorstep, but at his doorstep. So having to change that. I mean, we were very lucky and fortunate that when COVID struck and the pandemic struck and the shutdown started happening and started disrupting our lifestyle, we were the only business house or the only food chain which had its own delivery system. Now, we believed in creating our own delivery system, even though it was not as cost effective as if I were to outsource this. So a lot of people outsource a lot of things. We tried to build in-house capabilities and making sure that we were able to deliver. That happens in a one. I wanted to see my customer at 3 feet, not remotely through outsourced systems. So for me, knowing my customer, touching and feeling my customer's emotions is more important than anything else. So I think we have remained relevant because we've been in touch with our customer. Knowing your customer, understanding what your customer needs is very important. If I were to have a purely outsourced business, I think I would have missed out on this very much, because I would have been dependent on a lot of service providers who were all caught wanting during the COVID. They were all not able to deliver, whether it was the delivery system. Now, thank God I had my own trucks to deliver perishables across the country to 4,500 outlets. If I didn't have my trucking system and my own trucks, I still outsourced 1/3 of my trucks. But if I didn't have 2/3 of my trucks, I would have been caught completely unawares, because those trucks were so overburdened with requirements at different scale, they would have kind of reduced my penetration into my customer base. So I think there are certain things that you have to take physical check off and keep on investing in these resources. So investing back into your business is very important. A lot of people have the tendency to kind of sell out non-core businesses. Sometimes I question that people like Alkesh and his consulting colleagues, and they say, don't get into the non-core area. There's no such thing. If you can maintain a non-core business and make sure it stays relevant and helps you kind of connect with your customer, so be it. And I think that's very important. And I think this is what is required. And we need to keep on reinvesting in your business and not just plugging out everything. A lot of people have this happen. A lot of businesses and entrepreneurial businesses, family businesses, have a tendency to pull out and take resources out of the business, which actually the business needs. And that is where they go wrong.
Thank you,
no,
sir.
I mean, I can keep asking questions and keep chatting with you all day, but I realize that we will have to respect time. So just one last question, and the 2 points that I've picked from this is agility and investment in technological enhancements to remain relevant. Yeah. But one last question is on philanthropy and entrepreneurship. So, when I look at giant houses like Tata's, they had this deep-rooted connection with the society, and they gave back by way of philanthropic activities. And I've noticed a similar trend in your business house as well. I haven't come across too many businesses which parallelly run a philanthropic motive, philanthropic objective. Like you've got Deshraka, you've got schools running under your name, you've got universities, you've got hospitals. You've been doing so much of charity work as well. So surely there has to be some connect between entrepreneurship and giving back to the society or community. Maybe you want to just spend a minute on that, so that the young minds who are listening to us today, they understand the connect with the society.
So see, one, I'm very blessed that I've grown up in a family which has got that in their DNA. And I think that is something which is something I must thank my forefathers and my parents and my grandparents for inculcating that spirit of entrepreneurship, and not just that, inculcating with it the spirit of community respect and community relationships. I think this is something which goes far and beyond. I truly believe that generating wealth, with that comes a huge responsibility of making sure that you build communities together with it. You live in a community, you belong to a community, but you cannot live independently of it. It's like saying, I go to school, but I don't wear the uniform. No, we are all in it together. And as a community is what nation building is all about. Nation building doesn't come only from government officials. We are equally responsible as statesmen, as community members, as leaders in our own right, in whatever faculty that we are in, to give back and to kind of keep on nourishing the community. CSR is not just about giving resources, but it's also about your environment, taking care of it. I mean, if you didn't have the discipline and you were to start abusing the environment through waste or through consuming electricity the way you do, or behaving the way you littering the streets and caring for and being irresponsible, is also very much part of a CSR thing, is initiatives. So I believe that giving back to community, letting and hand-holding is important. It's not just about giving 1,000 rupees or 1,000 reals to somebody and making sure that he lives a better life. It's about holding his hand and making sure he learns the skills to earn his own resources, because after you give, they go back and ask for more in a short space of time. So we believe that we need to encourage communities to be standing on their own 2 feet. So we are here, of course, in times like we had the Shaheen cyclone, you have to give back those people who require the resources to kind of at least fend for themselves for those period of time when they've been hit by the cyclone. But we've done that. We sent tremendous amount of things. At that time, we don't ask, is it a percentage game? No, it's not. Giving is not a percentage game. It's not about whether I spend 2% or 5% or 10% of my profits on CSR. When you give with a heart. And that's what I said, the 4 attributes of care, trust, learning, and commitment. You won't earn the trust if you don't give, and you won't be caring enough if you start saying it's me and I belong to myself. So with that, thank you, Alkesh, and thank you, Indian School, Wadi Kabir. Thank you, Avanir, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Sanjana, Anushri, you've been brilliant. Thank you very much for looking after me and making sure I didn't get any difficult questions to answer. I wishing you all the best. I hope our paths cross again. And I hope you enjoyed the cricket, the World Cup in Oman. And if we've made jointly, I had 150 volunteers, 200 volunteers in there. But for these people, it wouldn't have been possible. So with that, thank you very much, and wish you all the best again.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your wonderful answers. And thank you, Alkesh Joshi, sir, for those very pertinent questions. It was truly enlightening. And I think all the students have truly gained a lot from the answers given by Mr. Pankaj Khimji. Thank you so much once again. Over to the anchors.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for addressing the concerns of the audience so patiently during the course of the discussion. Dear audience, please fill the feedback form, which will be posted in the chat box. And for the audience viewing this session on YouTube, please fill in the feedback form given in the description box.
As we draw to an end of this enriching session, I deem it my great privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Let me first express my profound gratitude to His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq Al Said for the magnanimous benevolence showered on the Indian diaspora in the Sultanate of Oman. May the Almighty shower abundant blessings on His Majesty and His country. We extend heartfelt thanks to our eminent speaker, Mr. Pankaj Khimji, for the wonderful session and his words of motivation. Thank you, sir. Our deepest sense of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Shivakumar Manikam, Chairman, Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman, and other honorary members of the Board of Directors, Indian School in Oman. A heartfelt thanks to Mr. Alkesh Joshi, the Honorary President, and other members of Indian School Al-Wadi Al-Kabir Management Committee, Mr. D.N. Rao, Principal of ISWK, Principals of the School of MENA Region, Indian Schools in Oman, Vice Principals, and the entire teaching fraternity.
We are indeed grateful to our platinum sponsor, StudyCo, gold sponsor, Gen Group of Institutions, Green Matter Academics, Vellore Institute of Technology, Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education. Bronze sponsors, Middle East College, Oman, Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dallas Baptist University, MIT Workplace University, Pune. Media sponsor, The Arabian Stories, and digital marketing partner, Spectrum, for their support in making this mega event a tangible reality. I wish to thank each and every student and parent for their valuable presence in making this session a grand success. An event of this kind requires the coordination of a committed team. Thank you to the ISWK team for making Avenue 2021 possible.